Okay, tomorrow is your test. I'm recording. Tomorrow is your test.
You're so zoomed in on the Elmo.
I know. Can you see it?
Yes I can.
Okay, you are going to receive this half sheet of paper tomorrow. And I can't promise you what order it's going to be in. Your job is to list all of these formulas. You should know them off the top of your head based on doing all the homework. So let's go through them. And then if you flip to the back are the answers, but don't look at the back. Yeah. You left them? Okay. All right, can you tell me how to write the recursive arithmetic? What does the recursive mean? Recursive, you start with something and then what do? You generate the next one, the arithmetic one. What do you do? What do you have to first know? You have to know something. You have to know the first term. So you state the first term. You're going to write a sub 1 as blank. And to find the next term, the recursive is only good to find the next term. So to find the next term, you take the previous term and you add your common difference. That's it. How about the explicit arithmetic? This is a nice formula when you want to find the 50th term. You don't want to go in order. So do you remember this one off the top of your head? What's the explicit arithmetic formula? What do you have to first know? The first term, and then it's n minus 1 times the d value. That'll get you to any term. You want to find the 100th term, the 1000th term, you don't have to know the one prior. What is the recursive geometric formula? Well, again, just like the recursive arithmetic, you have to first state the first term. A sub 1 is actually blank. What is it? And then, to find the term, any term, as long as you know the previous term, a sub n minus 1, and you multiply it by the r value, you will find the next term in the sequence. Versus the explicit formula, explicit looks like this. A sub n, it's the first term times the r value to the n minus 1 power. To add up a certain number of terms, if it's arithmetic, it's the number of terms over 2 times the first term plus the last term. The sum of a finite geometric, it's the first term times 1 minus r to the n power over 1 minus r. And the infinite sum of a geometric, if you're adding to infinity, it's the first term over 1 minus r. I need you to memorize. This is like a vocabulary math test. It's strictly memorization. It's an easy 10-point quiz tomorrow. You're going to do this for me, and then when I give you your test, I'm going to give you the formulas. You'll get these formulas tomorrow for the actual test. But I'm first going to quiz you on knowing these. These should be very easy to do for you. It's just pure memorization. Keep writing them down.
Wait, so after we do this, we get this
Yes.
for our test?
Yes.
Okay, oh, that's good.
Okay? So that's the deal. You guys keep asking me, am I going to get the formulas? Yes, you are. I'm going to give you the... In years past, we made you memorize the formulas and you didn't get the formulas for the test. But what ended up happening, let's say you made a mistake on a formula, then your test question is wrong too. So instead of nailing you twice on the test for not knowing the formula, you're not going to get it right on the test if you don't know the formula correctly. You don't have a chance. Then we figured what would be the easiest, nicest way to do is give you the formulas. But you've got to know which is which. We're not going to tell you which is which. This is the recursive arithmetic. This is explicit arithmetic. This is recursive geometric. This is explicit geometric. This one is the sum of a finite arithmetic. This is the sum of a finite geo. And this is the sum of an infinite, you're adding to infinity, geometric. How's that? So there's no surprises there. So that's step one of your test. Now here's your test. Let's go over it.
Can you put a blank partner test on one?
Thank you, Alexa, for asking that. This is what you're going to have on, if you go, I'm gonna click to, here is, I'm going to show you really quick.
You and explode.
Right here. If you go on to the Weebly, MS Weebly, this site right here, so let me go back. If you go on to msaudia.weebly.com, there's the website, and you click on Algebra, and you go to April, and these are all of our assignments that we've done. This very last one, I posted it yesterday. Click on this, and Alexa, just for you, let me see. There's a blank test. And if you keep going down, I have another surprise. What's that?
Answer.
What do you see? The answers with all my work. How to do the problem and so forth, okay? So it's there for you.
All right, thank you.
It's up to you. I can't print out another sheet of both of these for you guys, but I am gonna go over this, and this is all on YouTube. So I will post this, a blank one of these, if you wanna practice this, okay? Print one of these out. We just don't have unlimited paper supply. So here we go. Here's your test. Ready? And I think it might be a little shorter tomorrow.
The test.
So, yeah, I might, like, for example, question 1 and 2. Seriously, if I just put one of these, I know whether you know what's explicit and what's geometric, which is explicit and which is recursive. This, when they state the first term and they do the previous term plus D, that is recursive. This is a recursive formula. That's your D value. And that's your first term. It says, write the first 4 terms of each sequence. Classify each formula as explicit or recursive. So the first one is the recursive formula, where the first term is -2, and they're asking you to add 7. That's your D value. You're going to add 7 to each one. So if you added 7 to this, you get 5. Add 7, you get 12. Add 7, you get 19. Does anyone have any questions on that? Whereas this formula right here is the explicit formula. And this tells you, this is your first term, a sub 1 is 5, and that's your D value. You should know this. So 5 is your first term, and you're going to add -3, or just think of it subtracting 3 to each, and these are your first 4 terms. Questions? Next. Can you tell me the difference between a sequence and a series? What does a sequence have? How did I tell you to remember it?
Comma.
The comma. Sequence C has a comma. So this one in this one, so these are sequences. Whereas that's a series. Series has pluses and minuses. What's the difference between finite and infinite? Finite means it ends. That one's finite, these two are infinite, they go to infinity. What's the difference between arithmetic and geometric? Arithmetic means you're adding a common term, common difference. So this one's going up by 4, so that's arithmetic. This one's geometric. You're dividing or multiplying by, anyone know? -3. And this one is neither. So I may just pick 2 of these instead of 3. Do I need to have 3? No. Number 6. Number 6, and I'm gonna do them from scratch, so you see it. Okay, number 6. You have an arithmetic sequence. We know the 4th term. The 4th term is 5. And we know the 10th term is 17. Well, since it's arithmetic, if you think about slope formula, what's the rate of change? M. The slope of these 2 points is really the d value. Thank you. So if you think of 17 minus 5 over 10 minus 4, you get 12 over 6, which is 2. That's your d value. That's the d value. D is 2. So we're looking for the 50th term. We don't know what the first term is, so I'm going to use, let's use A4. The 4th term is 5. So if we say A sub n is A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. If I don't know what the first term is, that's my unknown. But I do know that the 4th term is 5. So if I put a 5 here and a 4 here, the 4th term minus 1 times 2 is your common difference. What is A sub 1? Well, what's 4 minus 1? Is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract 6, and what is A sub 1? -1. So your formula is A sub n, A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Where A sub 1 is -1. We're looking for the 50th term. And then multiply by 2. So the 50th term, A sub 50, is, anybody know?
97.
97. You are correct. 50 minus 1 is 49 times 2 plus -1 is 97. Next one. How do you find the arithmetic mean? What do you do with these two numbers?
Average them?
You average them. What is 5 plus 21? And you get, divide that by 2, you get 13. So 13 is the middle number. It's the average of those two. What about geometric mean? Do you remember this formula? It's the square root of the product of these two. Well, what is 4 times 40? 400. What's the square root of 400? 20. Next. I need you to write the explicit and the recursive formula. Well, first of all, is this arithmetic or geometric? I'm not telling you. You got to figure it out. How do you know what you're doing?
Subtracting 11.
What are you doing?
Subtracting 11.
Subtracting 11. So D is what? Negative 11. So this one is arithmetic. So what is they first want to know the explicit formula. So you look on your formula sheet. What does the explicit formula look like? It's the first term plus n minus 1 times D. Well, what is the first term in the sequence? 97 plus, you're going to keep n in there, and you're going to multiply by negative 11. Let's simplify this, because that's our best answer. 97 minus 11n plus 11. Add these two up, and you get, what do you get? 108. That is the explicit formula. So it's a sub n equals negative 11n plus 108. The recursive formula for this, you state the first term. What is the first term in this sequence? 97. And to find any term, as long as you know the previous term, and you add the common difference, and the common difference is negative 11, that's your recursive formula. The next one. What's happening here? How are we going from 4 to 12? 12 to 36. What are they doing?
Adding or multiplying by 3.
They're multiplying by 3. So R is 3. R is 3. So what is the formula? If you look at your formula card, the explicit formula, it's the first term times the R value to the n minus 1 power. So what is the first term in the sequence? It is 4. What's the ratio? 3, and then n minus 1. In the recursive formula, you must state the first term. What is the first term? 4. And any term in the sequence is the previous term times the R value, which is 3. Just like that. You have to have this first term. You have to state your initial value. This next one is one of the more difficult ones. I'm asking you to find the 14th term, and they're giving you 2 terms in the sequence, and they're telling you that it's geometric.
Good.
So if you look, and these are not in sequence, they're not next to each other. So a sub 1, a sub n is equal to the first term times r to the difference of these.
Something is really irritating.
Having technical difficulties.
And there it goes again.
Okay, so now we're going to put in this information in here. I'm going to take the bigger of the numbers. A7 equals A4 times R to the n minus 1 power. So now instead of n minus 1, I'm going to have, instead of here, I'm going to have 7 minus 4, which is 3. So these are the difference of these two, so you're going to subtract 7 minus 4 and put a 3 here, because that's what the difference of these two is. Put the bigger one here. Don't put A4 here and A7 here, because then you'd have a negative number. So make sure you put the bigger number here and the smaller, so when you subtract them, you get a positive number. So now, what is A7? What is it? So we're going to replace A7 is 192. What's A4?
24.
24. How do you solve for R? Divide by 24, and you can use a calculator. R cubed is 8, or actually, no, it's not 8, it's, I believe, 27, right? 192 divided by 24, oh, it's 8. What's the cube root of 8?
2.
2. So now, what do you do? Now you plug 2 in here for r. We need to find the first term. So now I'm going to use the smaller of the two. A sub 4 equals a sub 1 times r to the third power now. And I know a sub 4 is 24. I don't know what the first term is, but I do know r is 2. What is 2 to the third power? What's a sub 1?
3.
3. So how do you find the 14th term? Well, the formula is, it's the first term times r, and r we said is 2 to the n minus 1. So if you want to find the 14th term, you're going to do 3 times 2 to the 14 minus 1 power. When you do this, what do you get for an answer? You're going to use your calculator and you should get 24,576 is the correct answer. That's probably one of the harder ones. Next one. Write the series, this is a series, in summation notation. This is summation notation. So I need to figure out how many terms am I adding up? 228 is equal to, I don't know what term this is. Is it the 50th term? Is it the 40th? We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out what n value that is. This is the first term. This is n is 1. So 1 to what? We're adding the first term to the what term? So 228 is the first term plus n minus 1. How are they going from 25 to 32?
Adding 7.
Adding 7. So figure out what n is. What n value is 228?
30.
What is it?
30.
It is 30. And you just simplify 7n minus 7, collect your like terms, so 30 is the top value. That's the 30th value. Now, I need to know the explicit formula of this. That's what goes right here. What's the explicit formula? How do you do the explicit formula? A sub n, it's the first term, plus n minus 1 times 7. It's actually this piece right here fixed up. Forget that value right there. So a sub n is 25 plus 7n minus 7, 7n plus 18. So, how do you write your answer in summation notation? N is 1 to 30, and the rule is 7n plus 18. Now, how do you actually add
You forgot the
these up?
notation, bro.
Well, what's the formula? It's the number of terms over 2 times the first term plus the nth term. Well, how many terms are you adding up? We just figured it out, it's 30. What's the first term that you're adding up? Is 25, and the last term is 228. So 25 plus 228, and do it, equals what? What is the sum? 3,795. I want the actual sum of all those terms.
We have those things. I don't know, sometimes I think this class, when somebody actually have them, it's the way something.
What do you, look at the main test. The test I checked. Now, you guys realize that you're turning in 4 or 5 tests. I don't go through, there's no way I'd be able to check.
No, I know,
80
but I
tests.
know we had the same answer tonight. That's
Okay,
why I'm
well, let me
saying,
see. Do you have this? Look at your answer. Whose test is checked? Read it. What, is it marked right? Okay, so, yeah, what's,
Oh, never mind.
you got it right.
Yeah.
It's right and you got it marked right. Thank you.
Thought you marked it wrong.
Okay, next one. This question You guys did awesome on. I think everybody got this one right. Woo! Woohoo! So, first of all, this is a finite. Why? Because I'm only asking you to add 20 terms. Now, which formula is it? I didn't tell you. Is it geometric or is it arithmetic? What are they doing from 3 to 6? It's geometric. They're multiplying by 2. So what is the sum of a finite geometric? Looks like this. Now on your test tomorrow, I expect you to write this. I expect you to plug in, put a 3 here in place of a sub 1. I expect you to put 2 in for r. I expect you to put a 20 here for n. You're adding 20 terms. I want to see this right here. This question was worth 4 points. If you have this right, you're going to get 3 of the points. How do you get the 4th point? The answer. What is the correct answer? 3, it's a big one. 3,145,725. So now for those of you that don't show me any work, and you get this answer wrong, guess what? You get nothing. You get nothing. I can't read invisible ink. I have to know, and it has to make sense. See this, how this makes sense? I know that, so that way, what ends up happening, and some of you guys, like on the next problem, I can show you how I did partial credit. If you mess up the R value, let's say you wrote the R value is 3, and you had this right and this, if you do the math correctly, I'll give you 3 out of 4 points, you just had the R value wrong. I just need to see that you know what A1 is, what you know how to do R, and if you know how to figure out the number of terms and then do the problem correctly. So that's what's going to be how you grade it. This next one kind of fell apart. First of all, this is the sum of a finite, how many terms are you adding together, arithmetic sequence. So you're going to add the number of terms over 2, you're actually multiply number of terms over 2 times the first term in this sequence plus the last term in the sequence. Well, first of all, how did I show you how many n values you have? What was my trick that I showed you? What do you do with these 2 numbers? What do you do with them? Subtract them and add 1. So what's the correct n value for 1 point? 46. How do you get 46? 50 minus 5 is 45, and add 1, you get 46. A lot of you guys had that wrong. Now, what's the first term you're adding? This is the bottom number. You're going to plug 5 in here. So the first term is 4 times 5 minus 10. So 20 minus 10 is 10. That's your first term. What's the 50th term? If you plug a 50 in here, 4 times 50 minus 10 is, we have 200 minus 10, which is 190. So I gave a point for that, a point for that, a point for that, and a point for the correct answer. What's the correct answer? Yep. Questions? Number 15. What are we adding? This is a geometric sequence or series. What's the formula? It's a finite one. It's the first term times 1 minus r to the n power over 1 minus r. Well, how do you figure out the first term? You take this bottom number, and if you were to plug 1 in here, what is 1 minus 1? Everybody, what's 1 minus 1? What's a half to the 0 power?
1.
What's 1 times 4?
4.
What's a sub 1? 4. Now, if a sub 1 is 4, how do you get the next term? Well, if you put a 2 in here, 2 minus 1 is 1, 4 times 1 half is 1 half. So when you do this over that, you get, what is the r value? What is R? 1/2. So it's 1 minus 1/2. How many n values do you have? 10. Okay? And I'm sorry, this I should have wrote 2. This is 2. This is 2. A sub 2 is 2. That was my mistake. Put a 2 in here. 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 times 1/2 is 2. Sorry, guys. So R is 2 over 4, which is 1/2. Sorry. Now, if you do this on your calculator, first of all, if you just show me this, you're gonna get 1, 2, 3 points for that. And the correct answer is 7.99. If you wrote, I took that too, 8. Okay, next. What are they asking you to do here? Add from 1 to what? This is an infinite geometric. What's the formula? A sub 1, 1 minus R. Well, how do you know what the first term is? If you put a 1 in here, 1 minus 1 is 0. A 6 to the 0 power is 1. So what's your first term? 2. So if the first term is 2, the second term, if I put a 2 in here, so if I did 2 times 1/6, I get 1/3. And this ratio is 1/6. It's going to be 1/6 right here. So it's 1 minus 1/6. So 1/3 divided by 2 is 1/6. Now, how do you do this problem? 2 over 1 minus 1/6 is 5/6. You're going to flip and multiply, and you get 12/5. 12/5 is your answer. Next. Number 17, how are you going from negative 15 to 30? And from 30 to negative 60? 60 to, what are you doing? You're multiplying by negative 2. If the absolute value of this is greater than 1, this diverges. Don't do it. It diverges. It says if possible. So if possible, it would have to converge. So for this one, it's diverge.
Oh, okay.
Diverge, don't do it. Now this one, how are you going from 12 to 6? What's R? It's 1/2. 6 to 3, you're multiplying by 1/2. This one converges. If it converges, you can add them. To what? What's this? Infinity. So you're adding from 1 to infinity. What's that formula? A sub 1 over 1 minus R. What's the first term? 12. 1 minus R. Oops, 1 minus 1/2. So you have 12 over 1/2. Flip and multiply, what do you get? The sum is 24. So this one converges and the sum is 24. Questions? Anybody have any questions on this? Okay, the next one, number 19. A football stadium seats 30 people in the first row. Row 1. row 2, row 3. So 30 in row 1, 34 in row 2, 38 in row 3, dot, dot, dot. How many are in row 50? What kind of sequence is this one? How are you going from here to here, here to here?
4 seats each row.
You're adding 4. D is 4. So this is what you're looking for. A sub 50, it's the first term, plus n minus 1 times D. Well, the first term is 30. We're looking for how many seats are in row 50, knowing that we're going up by 4. So if you do the math here, in row 50, how many seats do you have? You should have 226. Now, I want you to tell me how many total number of people or actually how many seats are there in this entire stadium? Well, you're summing up 50 rows, and you need to know the first row, how many seats are in the first row, and how many seats are in the 50th row. How many rows do we have? 50. How many seats are in row 50? How many are in the last row? What's my answer?
6,400.
Questions? And the last one. You're purchasing a diamond ring today, and it's now, the initial value is $3,000. What is the value of the ring next year? If you multiply this, it's going up 5%. If you multiply this by 5%, if you did 3,000 times 5%, you get 150. So is the diamond worth 150 the next year?
No,
No, what's it worth?
350.
3,150. So in the third year, you would take this and multiply it by what?
5%.
1.05. How do you know? If you took this value, divided it by that, 3,150 divided by 3,000, your R value is 1.05. So this is the big mistake. R is not 0.05, it's the value the prior year plus the 0.05. So R is actually 1.05. That's important. So they're asking you, what is the value of the ring in year 10, at the end of year 10? So this is what you want to know. In year 10, the first year it's worth 3,000. The R value is 1.05, and then it's n minus 1. So what is 10 minus 1? 9. So what is 3,000 times 1.05 to the 9th power? So you have 3,000 times 1.05 to the 9th power. And your answer is $4,653.98. Questions?
Go back to 16. Professor.
Go back to 16, absolutely. There's 16. Those are from your study. Brett, did you ask for this?
What?
Who
What?
asked for this one?
Alec.
Wait, oh no, I was asking you. Oh yeah.